David Brewster here on the Brewster's Millions of Rants, and this is mini amps. And I've had this idea on the back burner for quite a while, but I was waiting to acquire a few more pieces to add to my collection before I put this together. But now I'm ready. And this episode is going to focus on the mini, portable, sometimes battery-powered guitar amps that are on the market. And I've been interested in these for years. And it started with the mini, Marshall half stack. And I saw that and I thought, well, yeah, I want this baby Marshall half stack in my studio. And it was a novelty thing. But then over the years, especially in recent years, a lot of new products have been introduced and released on the market, and they're great. They're full of features, and some have effects and tuners and all sorts of things. And what started off as a novelty idea slowly became like this serious tone-seeking, option where it's like, wow, you can record with these. I mean, obviously you can sit and use headphones and practice, and not disturb, housemates or neighbors or your cat or whatever. But for recording, practicing, traveling, like you're in a hotel room or a campsite or whatever, you can totally grab your guitar and play, which is great. Historically speaking, these mini amps go back a long way, and you can go all the way back to like the little Fender Champ. Clapton famously used that, I think, in the Derek and the Domino sessions, like for Layla. But definitely, I think a lot of fingers kind of point to the pig nose, which was introduced, I think it was actually patented like in 1969. But the pig nose went on to become very, very popular. In the recent Terry Kath episode of Three for All that I put together, I did briefly mention this, but Terry Kath, the late great guitar legend and vocalist from Chicago, he had a lot to do with helping pig nose in the early years kind of get off the ground and get distributed. I think he helped introduce it like in a 1973 NAMM show. So definitely people like Terry Kath, Joe Walsh, Frank Zappa, Clapton. I think there's photographs of, like McCartney and a bunch of people, playing with a pig nose. But that definitely put the idea in people's minds. Like you didn't have to have this giant, towering guitar amp. You could actually, kind of travel and walk around or perform and practice using this tiny little amp. And Zappa used a pig nose on two of his, most famous albums, which is really interesting. It's like, whoa, he recorded that with a pig nose? No way. And then just about a decade later, over a decade later, Tom Schultz from Boston released, his Rockman, and that revolutionized everything all over again. And the Rockman became very famous, either the module, like half rack space components, or like the Soloist and X100, headphone amps. And those amps definitely were very well received, very popular. Obviously, Boston used them, also ZZ Top, Joe Satriani, Hysteria, the album from Def Leppard, all prominently featured, tones from those little Rockman units, which is really cool. Yeah, up first is a little mini, Marshall half stack, the MS2, and it does have a battery compartment in the back and also a belt clip, so you could clip it on your belt or maybe even on your guitar strap right there, right beside your ear. But interesting unit, spoiler alert, it doesn't sound bad. It just doesn't really sound that good either. It's just kind of there. It's like a little, miniature amp. It does have a little bit of a Marshall character to it, but right off the bat, there is kind of a design flaw because when you plug into it, it has a tendency to fall forward. It is kind of, once you've plugged in, it's really easy to knock this sucker over. But here's the clean tone. I do have the tone control all the way off or all the way on 0, and the volume's all the way up. And then the overdrive tone, prepare yourself. And then if I start playing with the tone control, you'll see it gets really crisp and bright. A lot of high end. So it doesn't sound bad, it just doesn't really sound that good, like I said earlier. So this is okay, and it's, the least expensive amp in this little shootout or blowout. And it's interesting, and if you're like me, I just wanted to have this little Marshall, half stack without actually having the physical giant Marshall half stack, which I used to have a long time ago. But this is a good kind of compromise as far as a space saver, and it's cool. But as you see, some of these amps we're going to look at are really cool. So no offense, Marshall, but you might need to up your game after this. Up next is this little Orange Crush Mini. And this is really cool. It's an authentic reproduction of an orange amp, just scaled down, mini size. I mean, the grill, everything about it is just screaming orange. Look at the back plate. That's so cool. But battery compartments on the bottom. You've got an adapter option here, auxiliary in, speaker out, headphone jack, built-in tuner. And the interesting thing here is there's no power switch. It powers up when you plug into it. And then it has a shared gain. There's volume, EQ, and this gain control. So my only gripe, which I am going to gripe about some of these products, but my only gripe is you can't really get a clean tone. I mean, you can, but it's really quiet because you have to turn that gain down so low. And as soon as you start turning that gain up, it becomes, obviously more distorted. That's about halfway or 12 o'clock, and then all the way up. Let me play with that EQ a little bit so you can hear the difference, in different tones you can get. Fuzzy, gainy, really cool. Totally in orange, just, about this big. Okay, up next is the Blackstar Fly 3, and I've had this for years. Actually, on my original YouTube channel, the David Brewster Music channel, I did a video review of the exact same unit. I did upgrade and get the extension cab, so now I have a full stack, Fly 3. But you've got MP3 output, or MP3 input, headphone jack, built-in delay, ISF tone shaping, courtesy of Blackstar, and then 2 channels, clean and dirty. So the clean channel, something like this. Yeah, some of that delay in there so we can kind of get some sparkle and magic happening. Overdrive or distorted side, let me turn the gain down. Let me turn that delay off too. So here's the gain side. Gain, very low right there. Let me crank that gain up like halfway. And then all the way up. Let me add some of that delay in there. Interesting unit. Definitely the delay is kind of a nice thing where it kind of adds, a little bit of sparkle or magic. Okay, up next is the Vox Pathfinder 10, and I have to admit, when I ordered this, I thought it was going to be smaller. I had no idea it was going to be this size. And really, I'll be totally honest, I love Vox amps, but when I saw this funky thing, with like the racing green Union Jack flag, I was like, man, I totally want to get that. Ordered it, and when it showed up, I was like, what in the heck is in that box? Because I was expecting something more Blackstar or orange sized. When I took this out of the box, I thought this is a real amplifier, but it was like $10 more than the Orange Mini Crush. I couldn't believe it. So it doesn't have a whole bunch of bells and whistles. There's no tuner, there's no delay or anything like that. You do have a line out, headphone out, and then 2 channels. And here's the clean tone. Everything's basically set at 12 o'clock. So there's kind of this, you know, very sparkly Vox, clean tone for sure. Let me turn that up a little bit. I'm also going to turn the bass up and the treble back just a hair. Funky. But then as soon as you switch on that gain channel, it does get really loud. I've noticed like the clean channel's, you know, a little lower than the gain channel, but great tones though, for sure. Let's see here. The gain at like 12 o'clock. Let me turn the gain all the way up and let's see what happens. Hopefully I'm not going to blow it up. But the interesting thing here is this was $10 more than the Orange Crush Mini. And it's a real amp. It has like a 6.5 inch, you know, speaker, 10 watts. It's very well made. I mean, you can tell it's going to take, you know, some use and abuse. So if you're looking for something that's not a full-size amp, but maybe not quite a mini, these Vox Pathfinders are awesome, you know, and they work really well with pedals, which I was going to feature that, but I wanted to move through, you know, all these mini amps that I wanted to feature. But really cool option if you're looking for an inexpensive, like, second amp or a smaller practice amp or something. Check out these Pathfinders. They're really cool. Up next is the Boss Katana Mini, and I do have the first generation 50-watt combo Boss Katana sitting right there. But the Mini is really interesting. You've got 3 channels, clean, crunch, and brown. Auxiliary in, recording, and headphone out. You've got built-in delay, 3-band EQ, and it's a really interesting portable amp. Here's the clean tone. All the EQ settings are at 12 o'clock. Make things funky. When we switch over to the crunch channel, I'm going to turn that delay off. And great tones. Put that delay back on. Let's see here. And then the brown, of course, is going to be rocking out right here. I'm going to turn the gain all the way up. I'm going to roll the treble back and the mid just ever so slightly. Really cool portable guitar amp for sure. Great tones, lots of tonal variety. You can scoop the mids if you want to. Up next is the Laney Mini St Lion. The ST stands for stereo. No way. And I do have to give Laney props for this, which was in the shipment box. And when I saw it, I thought, what's that thing? And when I opened it, I thought, no way, they give you an entire page of these cool stickers, which I'm totally a sticker junkie. So when I saw that, I thought, wow, okay, bonus points for the stickers. But unfortunately, I do have a couple minor gripes and issues with the unit itself. And I'm hoping that maybe the microphone will actually pick up some of the issues here. But the cabinet has a rattle to it, like this. Which I don't know if you can hear that, but it's definitely rattling as far as, I think it's like the back of the cabinet. Because if I hold it like that, the rattle goes away. But then as soon as I add distortion or you start turning it up, you hear that rattle? I hope you can. But that's, you know, a pretty big letdown where it's like, no, the cabinet's not supposed to rattle. I mean, even that little Marshall that started the whole, you know, mini amp episode, the Marshall cabinet didn't rattle. So why is this thing rattling? And I probably will grab a screwdriver and maybe, you know, kind of see if I can actually address the issue. But here's some delay with distortion. Super duper bright. I do like having the EQ kind of lower, you know, almost off. Not a bad unit, especially if I can figure out how to make the cabinet stop rattling. But I do like Laney amps, and I totally was in love with the stickers, but a little let down with the rattling cabinet. And last but not least is the new Fender Mustang Micro, which I've only had this for a couple days, and I'm completely blown away at this unit. I'm very, very impressed. You know, all the amps we looked at so far with speakers built in are kind of modern variations of the pig nose. And you could think of this as a modern variation of the Rockman. Really cool. There's 12 amp sims, 13 effects. You've got USB-C connectivity. There's Bluetooth audio, a headphone jack, and you basically plug it right into your guitar jack. And I'm actually going to connect this right to the front of my guitar amp, which, I mean, you can run it that way, but it's not really the way it was designed to be, you know, connected. But with headphones, especially if you have like good quality headphones, like these Audio-Technicas, good quality headphones with that unit, you'll be in guitar tone bliss, you know, for hours. But I'm just going to kind of move through some of the clean, tones there. Something like this. And as I move along, it's going to get a little bit more gritty and dirty. Some, you know, mild overdrive. Volume knobs right there on the front, which I'm going to basically grab the amp volume here. You know, really cool unit for sure. Back at the start. So it does have a little bit of kind of this piercing sound because I'm going right through the front of my amp. It doesn't sound like that with the headphones, but I wanted to kind of show you some of the tones in this thing. And I also had the gain turned almost all the way down. Let me turn that gain back up and go through some of those gain tones, because some of you gainiacs out there are going to love this thing. clean tones are so inspiring and musical. So I know I'm going to be recording with this and obviously practicing with it too, but I'm really, really impressed with this little thing because it has so many different sounds and options, whether you're just, using headphones sitting on the couch, or maybe you're traveling or whatever you're doing. And I can't wait to dip into recording with it too. But definitely a really cool unit, and they've only been out, I think it came out last year, so this thing's brand new. So it hasn't really had a chance to revolutionize anything yet, but I have a feeling this is going to revolutionize some things, because for recording, traveling, just another practice tool or an option, at home, maybe maybe a housemate or somebody is, there's like a Skype meeting or something or whatever going on. You can put some headphones and just get lost with this thing. It holds a charge for about 4 hours, which is pretty good, especially if you're just practicing or doing whatever. And I can't wait to begin, experimenting with recording and some other applications with this. So I didn't really want to declare a winner, because each of these amps that I featured all have different, options and tones. Some have, very stripped options. Some have a lot of options. But this little guy, it's in the same price point as most of these amps. And it just has so much, just packed in this little unit. Effects and tones and all these different things. So I'm really excited. Obviously this is a new, toy, and I'm excited about it. But I just like, these kind of different options as far as amps. Yes, giant mammoth guitar amps are cool, but so are the little tiny portable ones too. It kind of have their own charm and their own use and applications or whatever. But really cool. So anyway, leave some feedback and some comments, and please make sure, to kind of leave some comments as far as what you thought was the best amp, maybe the best tones, or the best features, or the best bang for the buck. But anyway, leave some feedback and comments. Please subscribe to Laney Lessons, and I'll be back before you know it with more content and material. Thank you.